in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope soul, sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, New York. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. That like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the MBK. Born and raised up MBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
What?
Don't so.
What?
Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Knick family. Welcome to the Just Knickin' It Weekly Show. I'm your host, Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen. As always, we have a lot to talk about. Just Knickin' It Weekly Show. Think proverbial barbershop, hair salon, Knick fans getting together, talking Knicks, no overproduction, no slides, at least not this week. Just basically kicking it, or as I like to say, just nicking it. The Knicks... A lot of expectations for the Knicks this season within the New York Knicks fan base, but also outside, which is a little different for the Knicks. A lot of Knicks fans and even some outside of the Knicks community feel like the Knicks can win 60 games, finish second in the Eastern Conference, challenge Boston for the #1 team actually in the Eastern Conference and make it to the NBA Finals. And I did the Lunchtime live show with Tony Crowe of Knicks and Bruises. Shout out to him. And we talked about how, you know, it's one thing to be the underdog. It's one thing to come out of nowhere and surprise. It's an entirely different story to come into the season with expectations and pretty lofty expectations, actually. And it's very different being a really good team on paper and going from paper to production and actually becoming that team on a nightly basis. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Knicks navigate that. I don't anticipate that it's going to be smooth sailing. I don't think it ever is. If you think about if you've ever tried to change, if you've ever tried to accomplish something, there's usually ups and downs, right? Very rarely is it smooth sailing. So, you know, I think the Knicks will get there, and, you know, I'm open to the process, witnessing the process, and just see what the process is going to be. What, you know, are there going to be ups and downs? We shall see. Anyway, I'm going to ask some of the similar questions that I asked Tony Crowe, but I'm asking it to different people. So when you're asking the same questions to different people, it's a different show. So let's bring in, let's try this. We talked about this the last time, right? Let's try this. All right. So let me see if I can scooch down a little bit, since Ajay is like all the way at the bottom of the the bottom of the screen. Shout out to the chat, by the way. I mean, maybe I should move myself to the middle. Can I do that? Yeah. There we go.
Ajay's really 4'5".
Right. He's pretty tall. He's taller than I am, right, Ajay?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's taller than I am.
An inch or two.
Yeah, I was surprised actually, but yeah, he's taller than I am.
I'm just giving him a hard time.
Yeah, and so is Jerrell. Shout out to Jerrell, man. Jerrell don't even be in the chat. Like, what's going on, Jerrell?
Where is Jerrell?
I know. Where's Waldo? So yeah, missing Jerrell and also Staffer. Can't wait, you know, for those guys to get back. I'm sure once the season kicks up, they will be. But Geoff, Ajay, rocking with me all summer. How you guys doing?
Great. It's not 108 for like the last 2 days in Texas, so it's really been a nice to. Yeah, never thought 94 would feel like a cold snap, but it's a lot better than 108. So we trying to cool down here in West Texas, but glad to be here. Salute to the chat. Thank you for spending your Thursday night with us. We really appreciate you, and it's good to have Ajay back with you.
It's always a pleasure being here talking about the Knicks. Listen, two great things happened, so I'm really happy to be here today, right? The first thing that happened is I actually printed my schedule.
It's official now.
It's official now, so I am ready to go.
Okay.
And the second thing is, I don't know if that's good or if that's bad. Maybe I need help. I actually yesterday the game 6 against Philly came on MSG like at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Nice.
I actually watched the whole thing
Oh,
and
man.
was excited as if that was the first time, as if I didn't know what was going to happen. Listen, it was a condensed version of it. I think they made it last about an hour. So, but I was really excited. I was like smiling. I was like, yes, yeah. I'm like, hey, relax, man. You saw that game already, but
Right. Yeah. You know what? I usually throughout the season, I'll have games on the DVR, but then, you know, at the end of the season, I just deleted them. I said, if I want to watch a game, I'll just go to NBA.com because I have League Pass. I can watch old games. But nah, next season, I'm gonna keep some game. It's just easier to access it when it's on your DVR.
yep.
I think it was last week. I was like, I want to watch a Knick game. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that.
Yeah, kudos to MSG, man, because they all summer they've been playing. You know, they randomly, you know, you go to MSG and they just play the Knicks game.
Nice.
You know, so
Nice. All right, so let's get into. I don't know if you guys caught Lunchtime Live, but me and Tony were talking about rising expectation for the Knicks, and one of them was, I don't know if both of you saw that FanDuel and BetMGM had the over under on the Knicks wins at 53.5, and so I'm just interested and whether you guys are taking the over or the under. Same thing for the chat. If you're taking the over and the under, and why? Geoff, let's start with you. Since you were on.
I think I'll take the over on that. We won 50 ball games a year ago.
Mhm.
You know, if we're healthy, look, I think of Jalen Brunson as a Patrick Ewing level type player where if he's healthy and ready to go, he's going to lead this team to wins because that's just what he does. And as long as he's out there, and then I really feel like I've said this before, and I don't want to be too repetitive, but I feel like just the Dante DiVincenzo experience has me super excited to see what Mikal is going to do as a Knick, because I really feel like he has a chance to flourish, and with he in the lineup, and then you bring back Julius Randle, and if he's healthy, man, I just see a lot of versatility. I think we're going to be a different team than we were last year. We're going to have to win differently than we did because we don't have the depth at the 5 spot that we did last year. But
Right.
we're so deep everywhere else, and the NBA's kind of moved away from traditional 5s for the most part anyway. So I don't think it's going to hurt us real bad. But I feel like for people who enjoy modern basketball, I think this is a Knicks team that's very very adaptable. It has a lot of good parts to play different styles, and throughout the course of a regular season, that's what you need. And we know that they're going to put in the work and do the grind, and because those are the types of players that we have, and that's the type of coach that we have. You know, we take every game seriously. We have our hard hats on. We play all 48 minutes. We chop. You know, we're always doing those sorts of things. So we're built to win a lot of regular season games. I don't know how we'll do in the postseason, but I'll be surprised if we don't hit the over on that, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Ajay, what's your
53 and a half, you said?
53.5? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I agree with Geoff 100% on that. It's almost like I don't want to say mathematical certainty that you add more talent to what you already had. You literally added more talent to the team that won 50 game last season, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're adding Julius Randle, healthy Julius Randle,
Mm-hmm.
healthy Mitchell Robinson, not half or 70% Mitchell Robinson healthy, then you add Mikal Bridges, you add, even other little pieces, like even guys that's going to give you 2-3 minutes, 4 minutes, campaign, some of those guys, they're going to be very important. They're going to be crucial to what we do here. Yeah, we are definitely going to be over that 53.5. Definitely. I mean, it's not even close. And that's it. Yeah, that's it, not even whether we stay healthy or not, because if every team stay 100% healthy, we're gonna make it. If other teams get hurt, we stay healthy, we're gonna make it. If we get hurt, depending on who, most guys on the team that get hurt, I think we can survive. And still, right, other than Brunson. I mean, we literally have like another piece to put in place in case any one of the other guys get hurt. I think we're gonna be tremendous. We're definitely gonna be over that 53.5. That's not even a question.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I took the under. But the under is still 53 wins. I mean, right? 53 would still be under. And the reason I took the under, it doesn't really have anything to do with the New York Knicks. I still think the Knicks finished second in the Eastern Conference. I just think that wins are going to be hard to get in this tough Eastern Conference. And I think the conference as a whole, I think the wins are going to be down. And I think a 53 win season will still get you the number 2 spot in this Eastern Conference. I mean, other than Detroit, Washington, I don't even think, other than those two, I don't think Toronto is a gimme. I don't think Toronto is a playoff team, but I don't think they're a gimme. I might be missing another. Yeah. Sure. But listen, you're not going to win every game, against Charlotte either. So Brooklyn, yeah. Oh yeah, Brooklyn.
There's a few,
yeah. I'm taking the under. I have the Knicks at 50 to 53 just because of the tougher Eastern Conference, but I still think they finish second in the
No, that's completely reasonable. It's highly possible that the Celtics are still the best team in the East until somebody knocks them off, and the Sixers on paper look very good. The Cavaliers won a lot of regular season games last year. The Magic won a lot of regular season games last year. I mean, the Indiana Pacers went to the Eastern Conference Finals and they finished 7th. So you've got a lot of different moving. The Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, if Giannis is healthy, they're going to be right there too. So I could definitely see a scenario where all those teams just kind of beat up on each other, and it is like you said, it goes to the under, and just because everybody kind of is so good that it kind of drags the win total down. But again, if this team is healthy, there's not a lot of weaknesses on it, and it's built. It's built for the marathon of the 82 game season, and they play the right way. And so, I'm usually pretty conservative, but I have a lot of confidence in this group.
Yeah. For sure. And I think to Ajay's point, if someone gets injured, well, other than the center spot, but if Randall misses some games, you could slide OG Anunoby over to the 4. If Anunoby misses games, you can put DiVincenzo into the starting lineup. Even in a pinch, if Brunson misses a game, we would have to go with campaign and Deuce McBride. We could do it for a game. I think that the scoring, the good thing is that Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, in my opinion, has offense. All of their offense is not going to be needed if Randall and Brunson is healthy. It's just not enough shots to go around. But if they're out, they can easily step up and not be playing above their heads. I thought in the playoffs, and I said this before, as well as Josh Hart played, as well as Deuce McBride played, I was always with like, is this the game where the shoe is going to drop? Is this the game where, Josh Hart is not going to get 20 points and 14, rebounds? Like the pressure was on these guys to play a little bit above their head. I don't think that's going to be the case with OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. And that bodes well for us. So I agree with the both of you. The way this team is constructed, there's some contingency plans. And I think even at the center position, and we said we're not going to hold our breath, but, Sims could surprise. Nobody thought iHeart would have the season he had, when Mitchell Robinson unfortunately got injured, right? We'll see. There could be some untapped potential in some players from last year.
To your point, though, also we know that Precious Achua can come in and play, starters minutes at the 5 spot. We know because he was forced into that role last year. Is it ideal? Is he the best? No, but is he a legitimate NBA player that can fill that gap if need be? Yes, he is. Is it the best realized version of the Knicks? No, it's not. But you don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. I mean, so I think that I think you said it exactly right. The one injury spot that we can't afford for any long term is Brunson. Yeah. Other than that, we can figure out a way. There's enough versatility and flexibility on this roster to figure out a way to win ball games.
Yeah. Though I think we might be able to wade a little bit. I don't think our win total will be good. I just think about that Chicago Bull team without Derrick Rose and how, they went from Derrick Rose being the one who created for himself and the team to Joakim Noah. So if Brunson was to miss a significant amount of time, we can switch the scoring. Will we be as potent? Probably not. But we might be able to wade in the water a little bit, tread water a little bit, similar to how Philly treaded water with Embiid out. Just for a backdrop, the Knicks exceeded 53 wins just one time since 1997. So if it happens this year, this would be the second time since 1997. The last time we were in the conference finals was year 2000. So this would be the first time in 24 years the Knicks make it to the Eastern Conference. What are your thoughts on? And I kind of know the answer, but what are your thoughts on the Knicks navigating? Oh, let's do the chat before we move to the next segment. Go ahead, Adrian.
Yeah, there's a couple of ones. Salute to JJ, always rocking with us.
Yeah.
JJ says he thinks we're gonna go. He'll take the over because nobody takes regular games more serious than Tibbs.
Great comment, JJ.
Tibbs gonna be playing every game like it's game 7 of some playoff series. So we know that. Right. He says if we stay healthy, of course, we will have the best record in NBA. I don't know about probably.
Can you put them up?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, if we stay healthy, I don't know if we'll have the best record in the NBA. I mean, there are a couple of other teams, out west, and there's, Boston's still great. They're still the better team, the best team in the East, in my opinion. So unless they suffer some injuries themselves, I don't, I think they're probably gonna have a better record than we do. So we should not. We're looking for number 2 right now for second seed. Not that we can't, but
right. But this is how you know the Knicks are legit, because JJ is a tough cookie. Like, there was times when we were like, "Oh, I think we're gonna win." He would be like, "Oh, come on," like, almost like y'all being delusional. So if JJ is on board and he's saying that if we stay healthy, we'll have the best record in the NBA, that means this Knick team, this roster is legit. You got the JJ stamp on it.
Yep.
Good enough for me. Sign me up.
Yeah. Shout out to DKEJ21 says we can't finish with the best records playing small ball. That's for sure.
Can we stay here for a little bit? Yeah,
Yes,
add your
we can.
comment on
No,
that.
I was gonna. I don't necessarily agree with that. And I'll tell you why. So the small ball, of course, it depends on who you playing, right?
Yeah.
If Tibbs show that he could be flexible, he doesn't have to have the same lineup. Like, he doesn't do this cookie cutter substitution that he does, that everybody knows what he's gonna do. Like, he adjusts to the game, and he likes to say the game tells you what to do. Some games will tell you, listen, the small ball lineup will be more successful this game, or the next game you stay with the big guys. You bring in Jericho Sims, as you know, he can help you. You need that big body in there for this game. I think the small ball could be successful for most teams, especially in the East. For most teams, I think the small ball could be successful. We don't have a tremendous amount of dominant centers in the East where we can't play small ball. And remember, when we play small ball, we lose in height, but we gain we lose in height, we gain in speed. Okay. So I don't necessarily agree with that statement. I think we can be, I don't know best record, but we could be very, very successful playing the small ball.
Geoff, what's your thoughts on that?
I just think the sport has changed. Like, this isn't the 1990s where you need to have a Patrick Ewing or a Shaquille O'Neal or a Hakeem Olajuwon or David Robinson, Tim Duncan, those kind. The Boston Celtics won without really a legitimate five. I mean, Kristaps was part-time, but he was injured for a lot of the playoffs. So, Al Horford was manning it down. You had, I think Draymond Green is a de facto center on a lot of those Warriors teams that were so good. I mean, they did have, in a couple of early iterations, they had a true five, but and there are some, like, there's Jokic, but Jokic is a different breed. Jokic and Embiid are both different breeds of center, than in the past, because they have that perimeter game and they like to play on the perimeter with what they do. And Wembanyama looks like he's going to be a kind of a unicorn that may be difficult to handle, but I think the game is a lot more positionless than it used to be. And I actually think that positional flexibility is actually at a premium and more important now, because it gives you that ability to switch defensively, which is one of the things that made Boston so fantastic, is they could switch anything and it didn't really hurt them. And not that all of their wing defenders are elite or anything, but they were good enough that and Derek White and Drew Holiday covered up for a lot of the things that Brown and Tatum couldn't do. Well, I think that with Wingstop, we have the best defensive tandem in the league, and if you have two lockdown wing defenders like that, is it really as necessary to have the rim protection that we had last year? I'm not sure that it is. And I'm going to borrow a page from Queen's book for a second and say that it might be more advantageous for this version of the Knicks to have someone else in there who's a legitimate offensive threat, in lineups with OG and Randall at the 4 and 5, for example, where everybody on the floor can score, and that presents a different kind of problem that we can present. And we may not be as good as we were defensively, with Isaiah Hartenstein, for example, but we may not need to be either.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. I would go even further than what DKEJ21 is saying, and I would say you can't finish with the best record without playing small ball. Without playing small ball. And this is why I say that there are going to be teams that are going to use whoever's playing our center, whether that's Mitchell Robinson, and we've talked about this at length, whether this is Mitchell Robinson, whether that's Precious Achua, whether it's Sims, our center position, in my opinion, is offensively limited. So if you're a defender, you don't have to stick close to Mitchell Robinson or Sims or Precious Stewart. Now you got to get back to Mitch before when that shot goes up to try to keep him off the ball. But those guys can roam a little bit. Whoever's playing our center is going to be smack dab in the middle of the key. Now, that's going to be less space for Julius Randle, less space for Brunson. But listen, they've played with Mitchell Robinson before. They've played with Mitchell Robinson and RJ Barrett before. So they know how to get their shots in limited space, right? But it's going to be a little tighter back there. The backdoor cuts may not be as frequent, right? First of all, who's going to make the pass? And second, with somebody standing in the key, it may be difficult to hit cutters, right? When you go with the small ball, I'm not sure what the fan base think we're losing. I think we're so bent on size. Josh Hart was undersized at the power forward position. You didn't know it. I don't remember, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember Josh Hart getting outplayed or outmuscled at the 4 position. It was either equal or he won the battle, because you have to remember they'll have strength on one end if they're taller, but you're going to have strength on the other end. You're going to be quicker. So it's going to be a trade-off. And so the question is, who comes out with the plus? In other words. So maybe we do give up, I don't know, a few offensive rebounds, you think? I don't think so. With Julius Randle, with OG Anunoby playing closer to the basket, if Tibbs chooses to use Josh Hart, I don't see us getting beat on the boards, right? If it's a big guy, how many big guys do we have that play underneath the rim is going to punish OG Anunoby in the post other than Embiid? And if it's Embiid,
in game 5 of that Sixers series, who was on him down the stretch?
It was
OG, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, but even so, you can always, double on the catch, double on the bounce, crowd his space. There's different things you can do with Embiid, but you're not dealing with Embiid every night. Miles Turner, perimeter. KP, perimeter. Bam, perimeter. Bam can also play down low, don't get me wrong, but I don't have any concerns about OG Anunoby guarding Bam in the post. Right? Jared Allen, 7-footer. What is he doing on the offensive end? Right? So this is not like the 90s where, it's going to be Patrick Ewing and Hakeem Olajuwon and Shaq and all of these big hunking center. That's not the case. That's not the case. A lot of these centers are perimeter centers. And I think having 5 players in our lineup who can handle the ball. On offense, you got Randle at the center. Maybe not on defense, but on offense, you got Randle at the center. He can, for all of the passes Isaiah Hartenstein made, Julius Randle can make it. The way our offense was humming, and better with those backdoor cuts and passes and what have you, Julius Randle can do the same thing. That puts a lot of pressure on the defense. They can't rest. They can't stand in the middle of the key. They have to play everybody. You're not going to even be able to double team in that lineup. That means Randle gets to play one-on-one. Brunson gets to play, one-on-one. Yeah, I'm sure that they would be in. those guys would be in there. They get to play one-on-one. You want to double them? Bridges, Hart. They might leave Hart open. But this is where what Ajay was talking about. If they're double teaming off of Hart, you take Hart out the game and you put in DiVincenzo. Right? You might lose a little bit on the rebounding end, but this is how the game is played. It's give and take. You know, you're losing something on one end, you're gaining it on the other. Is it a net positive at the end of the day? And I think if you want to see the full strength of this Knicks lineup, the full strength of what we can do offensively, you have to play small ball. If you don't do that, if you go traditional, to me, you helping the other team. You're helping the other team. You're making it easy for them. You know, in my opinion.
And Queen, I want to add too. Going back to what you were saying, what I was saying is like we don't have like a ton of dominant centers in the NBA. And the ones we do, the centers who are dominant, like not playing small ball, so having a big guy on them would make a difference anyway. You know what I'm saying? So, right. So if you have Joel Embiid or Jokic and you playing a center, it doesn't matter. So you might as well just trying to crowd their space with a shorter, more agile guy.
In other words, they're going to get theirs anyway.
They're going to get theirs. You could just try to make him uncomfortable. You know, put a stronger, slightly shorter guy, but somebody who make it a little bit more uncomfortable than a big guy just because he's big.
Right. And DKE also said, when has it ever worked for us? But when have we ever committed to it?
When have we had this personnel to do it? Like, yeah, if you're talking about playing with RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley and that crew, totally get it. This is a different kettle of fish right here. And I think when you have guys with great length who can double team and recover and get out to shooters the way that OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges can defensively, that opens up a lot of things and it allows you to do a lot more things. I mean, they're like whirling dervishes out there on the defensive end. I mean, Mikal Bridges is an excellent defender. I think people are kind of sleeping on how good he can be defensively. And it helps us out because OG doesn't have to guard the Tyrese Maxey anymore. That wasn't his strong suit, in my opinion. Having him try and lock down a smaller guard is not ideal. But if you can put Bridges on that guy, and Bridges is going to do a decent job. I'm not saying he's going to shut everybody down, but he's going to do a decent job. He's going to keep his man in front of him most of the time. He's got length to play passing lanes. He can switch on pick and rolls. He can do a lot of those things. And then you have OG Anunoby in addition to that, who's guarding 1.5 players pretty much the whole time down, on the weak side or whatever. Man, and DiVincenzo is good at stealing the ball. So if he's in there, Josh Hart is a really good defender. There's a lot of, and frankly, Precious Achiuwa is a good defender. He can switch when it's he and OG in the game at the same time. They can switch 4 to 5 pretty fluidly and not have it look bad at all, in my opinion. So again, you have a lot of different combinations that work depending on what type of team you're facing that day. Now, obviously, if you're playing a team like Minnesota that employs Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, you're probably going to want to go big in that instance. So if Mitchell Robinson is out, then it may not be ideal to have Achiuwa and Sims, for example, and Randall and OG. But again, what do we play them twice a year? So, I'm not gonna lose sleep over that, and if it's the NBA Finals, then we're in the NBA Finals. we can game plan for that when we get there, and I don't think any of us are going to be complaining if this team is playing in late June.
Yeah. For sure. Anything else, AJ?
Oh yeah, we got a couple more because we still talking about the over and under. Donald DiMichele says at 16-4 you're gonna regret the wager.
Hey, listen, I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong. But I still think the Knicks are going to finish in the second spot in the Eastern Conference regardless.
Yeah, Dwayne Dennis, I agree with Queen. 53-55 seems right. And that's with addressing backup. But which is it? 53 is under and 55 is over because I think it.
Right, that's true.
He's going for the push. He said,
"No, but yeah, you know what? To Dwayne Dennis's point, I'm thinking, 50 more than 55. Probably, I think we could easily win six or seven more games than we did last season. You know, that's what I'm talking about. Humberto De La Hoz. I believe the Knicks will beat the record. The record is 9 losses, I think. No, I think the Bulls was 10, and Golden State Warriors came in and they won one more game. So the record was 9 losses. Wow, my kind of guy.
I'm gonna be curious. If the Knicks fans are gonna fall off a cliff if the Knicks are not on pace to win 60 games or if they stumble a little bit at any point along the way. It's going to be interesting to see the fans' reaction.
Not 60. I mean, 55, 56, 57 in that range. I think we'll be happy.
And remember, Tom Thibodeau's teams have a certain arc. They typically struggle for about 20 games or so. That first, they're getting used to each other. They're getting their defense locked in. And then come the second half of the season, they tend to take off and really play well, and so I wouldn't be overly surprised if they're 11-9 or 12-8, something like that to start the year, especially with guys like Randall and Mitch coming back from injury. We don't know what kind of health they're going to be in. We don't know if they're going to be back to the full players that they are. And that's usually the time when Thibodeau kind of does his tinkering and sees what rotations he likes and those sorts of things. And with adding Mikal Bridges to the fold, you have a lot of people in new roles and in different positions, and it may take a little bit of time. And then, I would say probably after game 25, they're really going to take off and start cooking. And then by the end of the year, I think they're going to be as good, as tough. Nobody's going to want to see them come game 70 or after.
I mean, if we start like Donald, like 16-4, I mean, if we start 16-4, we're on pace to win 65 games. So yeah, I'm sure some people would lose their mind if we stumble a little bit mid-season. And if we start, because Tibbs teams always start slow, like you said. If we start 16-4 now, the expectation is going to go up a little more, and we're going to be expecting to at least hit that 60 mark. So.
I think if we go 16-4, my expectation is the Eastern Conference final. Like, you can win. I can't tell you. There's been teams who've won. I wouldn't say 60 games, but who've won, 55 games and didn't make it to the Eastern Conference final. So I think if the Knicks win 60, that's cool. But get to the Eastern Conference finals.
Yep, that
would be cooler.
That's that to me. That's got to be the vision, and I really think that it is the. I mean, you talk to Jalen Brunson. He's not talking about going to the Eastern Conference Finals. He and his boys, those Nova boys, are talking about winning a championship with the power of friendship. That's their goal. That's their mindset. That's their outlook, and they're not thinking anything else. And not anything else is considered success for them because. When they were a team together at a small town in a suburb of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, they won a lot of games together. They won the championship twice, and the year they got bounced in between, they probably should have won it that year too. So, they're used to winning, and I don't think I think that is the difference with Jalen Brunson is he's not only is he a winner, he knows what it takes to win, and he's able to lead people in that direction. And I think you've seen that I mean, we've been on the cusp of the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years in a row when we're unraveling at this, like the jeans are unraveling at the seams. You know, we've got so many injuries and other crazy stuff happening, but we're still right there. One or two plays go our way here and there, and you're a team that's in the Eastern Conference Finals. So if you can, and I don't know that there's any such thing as a normal year, but if you can kind of regress to the mean as far as injuries are concerned and stay relatively healthy and have a little bit of luck as far as that goes, why not? I don't see any reason. I mean, we have a deep team. We've got superstars on the team, and I say that with an S because I think that Jalen Brunson is certainly one, and I'm putting Julius Randle in that category too. I mean, if you're an All NBA player, to me that makes you a superstar. And he's done it multiple times. So once, if you want to say fluke season, okay. Couple of times, probably would have done it again last year. The way that he was, January Julius Randle was off the charts good. Like, I think people are forgetting how good he was. Like, he was terrible the first month of the season, but when he got into basketball shape, he played a couple months of the best basketball of his life.
Yeah. Yep. He did. He did.
Queen, before we go to the next, chat, hit that like button, man. 87 plugged in and only 32 likes, man. Let's get them likes up. Like and share. Bring in your friends and family. Let's have a big Knicks party. Share on your social media platforms.
Yeah, for sure. I know where I stand on this, but I'm curious. A lot of expectations for the Knicks, as we said. Your thoughts on how they navigate that? Your thoughts on what do you think their approach to the season is? If for whatever reason they hit a few bumps in the road, do you think the pressure gets to them of just coming in with a lot of expectations internally and externally?
I'll go first. So first of all, they will hit a couple of bumps. Without question. It's never smooth sailing all the way through 82 games. There are going to be some adversity. There are going to be some challenges. There are going to be some problems. But this team, I think, has proved to us that they are mentally tough and they don't get rattled too easily. I mean, we last year, if last season was not a good example of them navigating through adversity, I don't know what is. I mean, this is a team who lost. They lost a lot of players, and then they somehow whoever's left on the court, they rise to the occasion and they come and they get the job done. For that team last season to end up, with the second seed and make it literally within one game of the Eastern Conference Final, to me that was an amazing feat.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt that this year, first of all, they are gonna hit some bumps and they're gonna work right through them, and not just throughout the season, but through games. Like within a game, they are gonna have some stretches where like nothing's going for them, and they're gonna have to gather themselves and get through that game. And I think they're gonna do that. I mean, like, all these guys are mentally tough.
Yeah,
every one of them.
Yeah, I would agree. Geoff, any thoughts on that?
I think we as fans like to take this macro look at things, but to me, if I had to bet, the Knicks are going to try and focus on being 1-0 that day. They're going to focus on trying to be 1-0 that day for 82 days or for all those games. They're not always going to succeed at that, but that's going to be their focus. And then once they get to the playoffs, we're going to be 1-0 that day, because that's got to be the focus. You can't go 2, 3, 4 games into the future. And I don't think that this team thinks about it that way. I think they're comfortable in their own skin. They know that they're good, but they also understand that last season doesn't mean anything. Like, winning 50 games last year does nothing for you to beat this year's schedule. You
Right.
still have to go out. You have to play the games. The opponents are going to be bigger and stronger and tougher. You're going to have to go through the grind. They're putting in the work now so that they're ready to go. So that if they're called upon to play 48 minutes for 3 weeks in a row, well, they're ready to do that, And so I just think that that's one of Tom Thibodeau's strengths is that this team is going to focus on not 1 week at a time, not this stretch of 10 games or whatever. No, who we got tonight? Okay, that game's in the books. Who we got tomorrow night? Where are we going? Who are we playing? So I think with that kind of focus, with this kind of team, and I think Jalen Brunson does a good job. I mean, he never gets too high. He never gets too low. Like you'll see him get like hyped on occasion, like when like I guess it was in the Sixers series maybe when they headbutted him or whatever, and then they got that layup, and then he came back and he like stole their souls in the last minute and a half of the game after that. So he has those moments, but he's not going to get too high. He's not going to get too low. And if things aren't going well, he's not going to make excuses. He's going to say, well, we got to play better. And then he'll go out there and he'll play better. If he has a critical turnover at the end of the game, he's like, well, I can't do that anymore. And then the next time he doesn't do that, And so I think it has a lot to do with the mental makeup of your team and how you approach things. And I think that our culture is set up for us to play well in pressure situations because these guys want this. This is what they're, and we've been through teams where they were all talk and no walk. We've seen plenty of that. The whole 2000s for till Jalen Brunson got here nearly was all talk and no walk. And now, look, this is legitimately top 2 roster of the last 30 years for me. Like, right. So, they have the talent to do it and they have the mental makeup to do it. So now it's just a matter of going out and doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the way they approach the season, the way they approach the game, I don't think the external expectations is going to impact them at all. I don't think they're thinking about it. I don't think they're coming in with the over-under. We got to beat Boston. We finished second last year. We got to at least finish second. I think they want to definitely get out of the second round. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think they're focusing on being the number 2 seed or being the number 1 seed or winning this many games. They're focusing on being better, this game than they were the last game. And if last season is any indication to your point, Geoff, I mean, Ajay and Geoff, bumps in the road is going to come. They came last season and they handled it very, very well. Wasn't always successful, right? That February we were 4-8, or was it 4-12? One of them. 4-8. We were 4-8. But their approach was the same. Was the same.
Queen, that's part of navigating through them because when it hit, it takes a couple of games to adjust, right? You're not going to roll over the next day and then be successful. Right. So it takes a couple of games. And after that 4-8, after that month, then they, it all got together.
I was a little concerned during that. I was like, okay, I know I know we, but that should be enough time for us to re-gel, but it took longer than I expected, but it happened. It happened and they got on a roll. And I think it was like the last week we were like, they were going to need to win 5 out of 7 to hit 50 wins or whatever, whatever it was. And they were able to do it. So just a really tough minded team. I don't foresee anything, even if they started out 4-6. Now the fans is going to be a mess, a hot mess. But I don't even think the Knicks that would throw them off at all. I don't think it would throw them off at all. And I think even what the fans would be saying at the time, I think they would be fine. Other than health, is there any other thing the Knicks have to do to finish with the best record in the league or finish over the 53.5, what is the other things the Knicks have to do in order to meet the expectations of at least the fan base?
You want me to go, Geoff?
Sure.
Not the Knicks, and when you say the Knicks, not just the players, but the whole organization, the coach.
Everything.
I think the coach has to be a little more flexible.
Mhm.
That cookie cutter, Tibbs got to understand he doesn't have to have the same substitution patterns every game. Like, it changes with your opponent. Like, who you playing that night matters. Like, he says it, but he doesn't necessarily follow it. Like, he'll say you read the game will tell you what to do. And not every game tell you at the 7 minutes mark, remove Julius Randle and puts, it doesn't tell you that. Like, but he's shown flexibility in last season, but we don't know if that's really him being flexible or he was forced to because of the injuries, right? So if he's flexible, because you have the players now, you have the talent. Like, you really don't have a lot of drop off at most of those positions. You have guys you could put in that will give you pretty good production. So he needs to be flexible and needs to play the guys that he have on this team. I think if we do that, we're gonna be the players. No doubt those guys are gonna come ready to play. I don't expect any one of those guys to come to camp not ready to play. Like, every one of those guys is gonna become ready to play. So the players are gonna come ready. The coach has got to put them in a good place, in a position to be successful. If we do that, butter.
I agree with that. The only slight pushback I have is that there is something to be said for continuity. There's something to be said for players playing together and learning each other, knowing that at the 6-minute mark, this is the time that I come in with these guys and we have our own chemistry. Now, are there times when, you'll keep somebody in with a unit who's not usually in with a unit? Yes. Are there times when you'll take somebody out and they're usually running with? Yes. But I don't think you could just come to every game and just saying, we're just going to see how it goes. I do think that continuity matters. Knowing when you're going to get in matters. But yeah, I think there are times when there can be changes.
You can, both things could be true at the same time, right? You could, that continuity, you're going to have the same starting line, right? But at some point, like, Tibbs, when he does his substitutions, right, he likes to leave one or two starters with some guys coming off the bench. So one of those two may not be the same guy depending on who you're playing, depending on the team, or it may be different guys. So you gotta depending on what team you're playing, that one guy or that two guy that stay on the floor with the second unit could be two different guys. Or it could be just one guy, and the four guys could be, you got to be flexible in that sense.
You got to be flexible. I don't think for me personally, coaching, I wouldn't change up my lineups unless I was forced to. Like, I'm not going to look at a team and be like, oh, I'm going to change my rotation because they got somebody. No, I'm rolling out the same guys I'm rolling out. Now, if it doesn't work, like they're out rebounding us, all right, I think I might need to take out Devo and put in Josh Hart. Like, that part I do agree. Or, wow, they're doubling so-and-so. I don't think we have enough shooting out there. I usually have Josh Hart out there at this time. I think I'm going to pull Josh Hart and I'm going to go with Devo. So if that's what you're saying, yes, I definitely agree. But I don't think I would just do that because I looked on the court and saw that, oh, this is a bigger lineup, so I'm just going to take so-and-so out. I think I would let the game, what's actually happening in the game, dictate the lineup. If that's what you're saying, then yeah, I do agree with that.
To me, I think the one thing is that they've got to check the egos at the door. It's got to be about sacrifice. You have to be willing to sacrifice your minutes, your points production, your whatever it is. You have to be willing to sacrifice that for the betterment of the team. because guess what? There are going to be times when Dante DiVincenzo's not going to be seeing 38 minutes on the floor. There are going to be times when Josh Hart's not going to be seeing 38 minutes on the floor. Well, are we going to see the same Josh Hart in 20 to 24 minutes that we were seeing last year in 35 to 38 minutes?
Right.
You know, these are all really good players. They all want to. They all have a goal, but then there's always ego involved too. These guys all think that they deserve, to be on the court when it matters. Well, there's only 5 spots that that are going to be filled in the closing lineup, and 2 of the guys who closed a ton of games for us last year are going to be sitting down, and that's just and injuries will take part of that and impact that, so they'll get their chance. But when it's whole and everybody's in their role, is everybody willing to stay within their role and do what's best for the team? And that's the real challenge. And that's Tom and Thibodeau's biggest challenge, is to keep those egos in check, to keep the eyes on the prize, so to speak, to say that my minutes aren't what's important, but when I'm out there, the quantity of minutes isn't what's important. The quality of the minutes is what's important. Yeah. I go out there every time, whether I'm in there for 5 minutes or 35 minutes, I'm going to give the best version of Josh Hart that there is today. And you get that 1 through 9 in the rotation, and even from the situational guys, because there's going to be times where Campaign made 2 weeks where he doesn't see the court. Does that get to his ego, and does he phone it in and decide that when he does get on the court that he's going to be selfish, or that he's not even going to try hard to even get on the court? Who knows? I'm not saying that Campaign's that type of player, but I'm just saying that this is a reality of having the best players in the world that are on your team, and everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to, have that big role. And some people can check their ego at the door and they don't have a problem with it. And then other people don't. And a lot of the other people that don't aren't here anymore. And so, but I think that unselfishness was such a huge key to last year's team. And so hopefully that is a cultural pillar that continues on. I kind of think that it will be, but pride cometh before the fall, kind of a thing. So I'm curious if that happens.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, I think they've assembled. I think that's kind of what they look for now, like the Knick type of players who are used to sacrificing for the better good. I think that's a part of the Knick way. So, I don't think they're going to have much problem with that. For me, I'm going to double down on my same old, monologue that I gave earlier. And that's other than health, the one thing the Knicks have to do to move past the second round is to commit to small ball. Commit to it, not just roll it out against certain teams. This is just our identity, when
now, do you mean for like 48 minutes commit to it, or just
we have a small ball that's part of our
like a 20-minute game package, something like that?
Not even that. I'm going with Fred Katz. He said just 8 minutes, 4 minutes in the first. Well, he said that in the context of getting Hart and DiVincenzo 25 minutes a game, but 8 to 10 minutes, a game. And if it's rolling, to Ajay's point, let it go, let it go longer. But I think that if the Knicks want to move past the second round, you're going to have to commit to that, particularly in the playoffs when you're playing a team 4 to 7 games. You counter, they counter, you counter, they counter. It's going to get to a point where they're going to take our centers out of the game and make it difficult for us. And you have to have a counter. You have to have a counter for that if you're not going to go out and get a center who can score or at least move the ball along. So yeah, I'm doubling down on that. It has to be a part of what we do, not just in special situations.
I agree.
The chat has a couple of quite a
Oh yeah,
few.
actually, yeah, we can actually go
They,
to
they have quite a few suggestion on how to make the team successful. But
yeah.
before we do that,
Mhm.
you see that little barcode like right above my head there in the thing. Scan that thing and get the queen. The queen likes coffee. Just get her a cup.
Yeah, give me a I'm doing the mushroom coffee right now. I'm doing the rye coffee right now. It's pretty expensive though, but it's I love it. So yeah, help me get some Rise coffee.
Shout out to Darkosaurus Rex. He
Mhm.
says we want to be successful. 10-man rotation. That's it.
Yeah. The question I have for him is, and for other fans who want a 10-man rotation, are you okay with your best players getting less minutes so that you can get that 10th man some minutes? That's the question I have for Dorkosaurus Rex. I appreciate you rocking with us.
Yeah. Next one. Shout out to Reggie Clark, aka Mr. Gemini 1967. Hit,
1967. That's a
hit,
good year. Vintage.
hit those free throws, cut down on turnovers.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. We've been pretty good with the turnovers, though.
Yeah, but we haven't been pretty good with the free throws. Too many games last season.
You're right. You're right.
Even when we won the games, I mean, some of those games were nail biters because we couldn't hit our free throws.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, granted, hopefully Mitch is working on his free throws over the summer. I don't know if one off season is going to make a difference, but hopefully he is actually consciously making an effort, putting in the
It's in his head though. It's he's got to get his head on straight with it. That's what it is. When you go from being a 55-60% shooter down to a 30 to 35%, it's in your head. It's all mental. And it's about getting in that space where your routine is there and you're doing the same thing every time and you're not thinking about it and you're just going up and doing it. I think is because typically, like when they tried to hack a Mitch, for instance, when they did that, he would tend to shoot a higher percentage. I'm not saying he was good, but he would tend to make more when they did that because he could get in the rhythm of it and knock it down. Whereas I just think it's a mental thing with him, like it was with Shaq or anybody who's really struggled. You can't tell me that these guys don't. Like, it's not like he doesn't know that he's not a good free throw shooter. Like,
and there's one thing I wanted to mention. So I know there's been a couple of videos of Mitch out there shooting threes, and I hear online that don't waste your time. If you can't hit a free throw, you can't shoot threes. This one thing has nothing to do with the other. I just want to put that out there. If you can't shoot free throws, doesn't mean you can't shoot threes.
Yeah,
it has nothing. One has in a game, yes, has nothing. One have nothing to do with the other. It's a completely different thing to be at the foul line, take your time, to shoot the free throw, than to have the mechanic to automatically release it to release a 3-point. You might be a better 3-point shooter than you are a free throw shooter.
I don't know if that's borne out historically. We can definitely check that.
Well,
but
go ahead.
No,
it's two different things.
It is two different things. But a lot of times, if a person is hitting free throws, like say a person shoots well from the free throw line and they don't shoot well from the 3-point line, you're like, well, at least there's some potential. If you can hit free throws, that means you have a little touch. There might be some potential there. But
Queen, there are players who could kill you from the free throw line, but they can't do anything from mid range in a game.
Well,
it's literally the same distance.
Totally different skill set though, because mid range you're shooting on the move.
That's what I'm saying. It's different skill set. You may be able to shoot the free throws, have that skill set, as opposed to being at the foul line, taking 8-10 seconds to think about it, and you miss the free throw. When in the game at the 3-point line, you don't have that kind of luxury. And mechanically, like muscle memory, you're able to shoot the 3-pointer if you don't have to think about it. It's
How
not
many-
a guarantee that one thing doesn't equal the other. That's what I'm saying.
No, it definitely doesn't equal. But how many people who are really good 3-point shooters can't shoot free throws? It's hard.
Dante DiVincenzo.
What is he shooting from the free throw line?
I don't know. I was just being silly, but I
Oh,
just feel like
No, he's not-
Dante missed a bunch of freebies last year. I don't know why. And it's you only remember the misses, right? You never remember when the guy steps up, and unless it's so rare, like Mitchell Robinson, if he actually makes two, you remember it because it's like it happens once every blue moon. But for guys like Brunson and DiVincenzo, we only remember the misses when they might have gone 8 for 10 that game. But you know.
Yeah.
Shout out to Parrish Duggar. Biggest thing is Randall buying in and start at the 4-5 so we can be unguardable.
I don't think Randall buying in is going to be an issue.
He's already bought in. Like I don't even.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be an issue at all.
Yeah. Shout out to D Grant. Yeah, other players need to be consistent from the perimeter. We need JB and JR.
We know
to do well, but OG, Bridges, Bench, Big Ragu all need to be consistent. That is the difference with Boston.
Yeah.
That's one of the differences. It's not the difference,
right? But I keep that up for a minute. I think one of the things that Boston has going, they have a few, but one of the things that they have going for them is that they did it. They did it. And, this Knicks team is not the same Knicks team that left training camp last season. And this is not even the Knicks team that ended the season, right? Mikal Bridges is going to be starting. Randall is going to be back in the starting lineup. Mitchell Robinson is going to be back in the starting lineup. This is a different team that ended the season last year. So the gelling is going to be important. Learning how to play together is going to be important. The offense is going to look different. I think Geoff alluded to that in the beginning of the show. It may not be as free flowing as it was. Maybe it'll be, but it might not be. But it doesn't mean it won't be equally as effective. And I haven't heard this in a few weeks, so that's great. But there was a time when people were like, the fan base, a lot were saying, oh, just play them 30, 32 minutes a game. As long as we get to the playoffs healthy, that's all that matters. And it's true. We do need to get to the playoffs healthy. But this team hasn't proven anything that make you think they could just sit back, play 30, 32 minutes, finish in the 4th seed, 56 wins, and just get into the playoffs healthy and turn it on. No, I don't agree with that. I think you have to go through the battles together. You got to go out there. You got to put your best foot forward. You got to try to win every game. 35 minutes is, I would think that's average for an NBA player. You should be able to play 35 minutes a game. We don't know if we don't know this team well enough that we can say they can turn it on when they get to the playoffs. No. Maybe Boston can say that. Maybe, well, I don't even know if Golden State can say that now without Klay Thompson. I don't know if they can even say that. So the Knicks need to play, get used to each other, because again, it is a different team. Debo is coming off the bench now. He started most of last year. It's a different team.
Well, and take what you're saying a step further. Look at the past NBA champions for the last decade or two. They're almost invariably a 1 or a 2 seed. Very rarely, does a team come from a low seed to win it happens in hockey quite a bit, but it's very rare that you see a team with a low seed come and win the NBA championship. I think the Houston Rockets' second championship, they might have been a relatively low seed. But invariably, if you're winning the championship, it's because you are a top 2 seed. And it's not rocket science why. The matchups are typically easier for the ones in the 2 seeds because, and last year was a bad example because we got Philly, which was like an Eastern Conference Finals opponent, and but again, look at the road that Boston got to take as the 1 seed. They even in the finals, they didn't have to play anybody higher than a 4, and part of that is from having a great regular season. So you put yourself in the best position.
That's true.
And you do that by winning as many games as you possibly can. And guess what? If you have it sewn up with a week to go, or like Boston did, they had won 60 games. They were so far ahead. They had home court advantage locked up. And if you're at that point and you want to rest some players, or that's fine. But until you get to that point, that's not doing your job. Your job is to win as many games as possible and get home court for as long as possible. I mean, I think that can't be understated, because a home game for Game 7 at Madison Square Garden is a big deal. I mean, I don't think you can only put the Pacers' loss on the fact that we weren't whole, and the fact that they shot the best shooting percentage any team ever has, and that's what they had to do to win the series. But that's a lot different than having to go into Boston and get a win, or having to go to Milwaukee and get. I'm not saying it's impossible to do that, but it's a lot harder.
You want to make it as easy on yourself as possible. You snag that 1 or 2 seed, that 7th game, if you get to it, is going to be at home. The other thing is, it's not easy to win a championship. It's not easy to win. I mean, how many years was Boston a championship contender before they won it? How many years was Milwaukee a championship contender before they won it? How many years was Denver a championship contender before they won it? So this idea that because you're good on paper, you're going to win a championship, it's not going to happen. Championship teams are built through the wars. They're built through the wars. It's not just because you're good on paper, you're going to win a championship. It doesn't work that way. A lot of things have to fall in place. Health is one of them. You got to be almost lucky to be healthy, by the time you get to the playoffs and you get to the finals. So that's a part of it, but it's not easy. We don't even, as good as Brunson has been, and we're going to talk about this in the next segment, so I'm not going to take all the meat off the bone. As good as Brunson has been, the deeper you go into the playoffs, the better the teams you play, the better personnel they have. They can do things to try to stop you and make it harder for you than the teams you're seeing in the first and second round. We have no idea how any of these guys are going to perform as they move to the Eastern Conference Finals and even the finals, as the lights get even more brighter. We don't know. I'm going to put I would put my money on that they'll do well, but we don't know. Teams have to grow together. They have to bond. That's why I'm not getting caught up in the paper stuff. The paper is great. We look good on paper, but we have to put it together and actualize what's on paper, fuse ourselves together through the wars of the regular season. And then when you get into the playoffs, these guys have to be at their best self when the lights are the brightest. And as they get brighter and brighter as we go deeper into the playoffs, we have no idea how Brunson is going to perform as the lights get brighter. Am I putting my money on that he'll perform? Absolutely, I would. But we don't know yet. How many guys have we seen in the in the NBA? Michael Jordan. It took Michael Jordan, and some people will say the greatest player to ever play. It took him a few times in the playoffs to break through.
7 years. It took him 7 years.
I didn't even know it was that long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just, we're good on paper, we're gonna win the fight. We're gonna win. No, there's levels to this. You know, and it's not even Michael. You could point to multiple players who had to
Most
go
players.
most players
Most players.
go through the paces before, not the Indiana Pacers, but you know, I mean, they had to go through it and understand what it took, and then come back and do it. So, you know, let's see, but it's a process.
Case in point, Brooklyn Butch. We kind of answered that before we got to it.
Mhm.
Have the team still have their legs intact when playoff season starts, not be overtaxed, and you know he could do that by not playing. Tibbs could do that by not playing the guys so many minutes and give off when
When the
the
schedule
schedule
allows.
allows.
Yeah, I mean, I think to Jeff's point, you sew it up, guys can take days off. If the Knicks are healthy, nobody is going to be playing over 35 minutes a game. If the Knicks are healthy, there's no need to pay extra minutes.
And Queen, something happened tonight, right? Sherwin is in a really, really good mood. Shout out to Sherwin. The team has a potential all-star at every starting position. You got to frame this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Yep.
Hit that thumbs up. Where we at? We got 84 watching.
I don't know. I got to refresh, man.
Okay.
It's like pulling teeth, people. Come on, hit the like button. I know y'all liking this. I mean, you guys are here. Only 51 likes. Sheesh. You're real stingy with that stuff.
Right. To kind of piggyback off of what, you know, we talked about, you know, other than health, what do the Knicks have to do to move past the second season? This is a similar question. Who? I guess that's the same question. Is there a player or coach who you think has to be as advertised in order for the Knicks to make it out of the second round? Other than Brunson. We already know Brunson has to be.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Mikal Bridges.
Okay. That wouldn't have been my choice, but go ahead.
Mikal Bridges has to be as advertised. He has to come in because, you know, supposedly last season was not great because, you know, all of a sudden he was the first option. So he's better. He's better at not the first option, like second, third option. So supposedly he's going to fit really well here. He's a hell of a defender. Listen, he's proven all those things throughout his career, but he has to show, you know, he has to be as good as advertised or better. And you're hoping the guys get better, you know, because all those guys are hitting their prime, you know, him, Brunson, DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, you know, all those guys, naturally they get better as, you know, based on the past couple of seasons that they're playing. So yeah, hopefully Mikal Bridges is the guy that I'm hoping is as good as advertised or as good as he showed he could be.
Okay. Jeff?
I still think the answer is Julius Randle. And I think the answer is Julius Randle because when Julius Randle is at his best, I think this team is unstoppable. I think when Randle is in his peak form and he's knocking down those shots, he's hitting the three at a decent clip, and he's passing the ball well, he's seeing the double team, he's getting the ball out, he's playing the right way, he's playing solid defense. He's when he's right and he's in all NBA form, it just makes it because Jalen Brunson is so good and the talent level has been upgraded around him to such a degree that if you get the fully realized version of Julius Randle all NBA, that's a game changer to me. That makes that starting lineup impossible to guard. And you know, part of winning a championship is having players that nobody has an answer for. Like nobody had an answer for Derek White. Nobody had an answer for Drew Holiday. That's part of the reason Boston won. Well, nobody can guard Julius when he's on his game. Like, what is Boston going to do with him? Like, what is Miami going to do with him? How do you, like, if he's playing at his peak level, you can't stop him. And if you have to use multiple people to stop him to get the ball out of his hands, there's too many weapons. There's too much else on the court that can kill you, and can do it quickly too. And again, I say it all the time, but those wide open Jalen Brunson threes, getting 3 or 4 of them a game, hitting them at a 50% clip, that's easy money for Brunson. It's easy money for Brunson. You got Mikal Bridges, is a really good corner 3-point shooter. Easy money for Mikal. You got OG Anunoby, who's a terrific corner 3-point shooter. Easy money for him. Now you got one of those guys in each corner. Watch out now. Like, I just think that and it's a team game, so it's easy to say. I think if, especially with the talent level on this team, there are multiple answers to this, and they can all be right. But as far as I'm concerned, and Randall has the most to prove. Let's be honest. He hasn't had a good postseason yet. And I'm not saying that's his fault. I'm not blaming him.
That's the next question, Jeff.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Getting ahead of myself.
That's okay. If you want to, as a matter of fact, if we want to segue into that, we can.
No, Queen. I the chat. You asked the question. The chat has some answers. So,
okay, go ahead.
Oh yeah, let's see what they have to say for sure.
Look at D Grant. I think OG, since he got all that money. So we're gonna expect more from him on the offensive end.
I don't know if there's enough balls to go around for OG to give us more on the offensive end. Do you guys?
No, but he can just be ready, and when the opportunities present themselves, drain those threes and kill those closeouts when you do have those opportunities. Maximize the chances that you get, and if you're getting fewer chances but they're higher percentage chances,
that's a good point.
You can actually be better.
Listen, offense, I don't even know what to expect. I don't know if 14, 15 points from him is what to expect. I don't even know, because we've seen that he's capable of giving you that and then some. So when he's aggressive, we've seen him play aggressively and and put up 20 points like really easily. So but that's a good pick though. Not because of the money, but because I mean, it's a combination of what he's got paid and what we traded for him. Like we did, we give up a lot to get OG Anunoby.
We did. I think fans are going to be disappointed if, because of his contract, you're expecting him to average 20 points a game. You're going to be disappointed.
Right.
It might be half that with because I honestly think that Bridges is going to get a lot of opportunities to score the ball, and he's a more talented offensive player than Anunoby,
and more willing, more aggressive.
Right.
I was saying, Tony, I think for OG, some of them games he was in the locker room like, okay, I got to be aggressive today. Randall is not here. I got to be aggressive. You ain't got to say that to Bridges.
Yeah. Saddleberry says Kolek. I don't even know Kolek's going to get enough minutes to be, but we'll see. Shout out to Knicks 100 GM. Say it's Randall for sure. Shout out to Deuce.
Wiz.
To Deuce grandfather.
He didn't say Deuce? Wiz didn't say Deuce? What's going on? We're gonna revoke your card there, your presidency, if you're gonna say Randall.
So Wiz BKLA feel Randall is the one. So a lot of people feel Window. I mean Randall. Nick Yaks is Mitch. I don't. What do you know? Can we talk about Mitch a little bit? What do we expect from Mitch this season?
Better rebounding numbers.
Yeah.
On both ends, I guess.
On the defensive end, you're
On the defensive end, because
on the defensive end.
for the first time in his whole career, really, he's got elite wing defense around him. So he's not having to, cover, out to the 3-point line and do all our perimeter defenders can do that now. So he should be closer to the basket. He should be defensive rebounding at a very high percentage. I'm not worried about the offensive rebounds. We already know he can do that, but that was definitely one of the criticisms for him from you and from Shuttle, and a valid one at that. But is to get 5 defensive boards a game, at least. And I think that's the area that I want to see him the most. And again, be healthy. Like, give us, 65 games, and be there for the playoffs.
Yeah. I don't expect anything different from Mitchell Robinson. Continue to be the elite. Well, there's expectations and there's what I want. So I'm going to start with my expectations. My expectations are not any different from Mitch. Continue to be the elite defensive player that you are. Continue to be the elite offensive rebounder that you are. And to Jeff's point, we have perimeter defense right now. If you could pick it up on the defensive end, that'll be great. Now, in terms of what I want, I would like him to play 65 minutes a game, and I would like him to be able to pass the ball. Listen, if you can't, you're not a scorer. I don't expect you to come in this season and be a scorer, right? So I'm okay with that. But if you can help move the offense along when the ball is passed to you and you can keep swinging it, I don't even know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. Because as it is with him, and I say this all the time, with him and Sims, they get the ball, they hold it. You got to run to them and get the ball back. While you're doing that, the offense is stopped, rested, reset. So if Mitch, if he doesn't do anything, get the free throws up to 50%, and when the ball is passed to you, turn and pass it to somebody else. I'm good. I would be super good with Mitchell Robinson.
And I think one of the things that he is good at is when he gets an offensive rebound, he's very good at looking for that pass out to the corner. So, and the reason I mention that is it's not an impossibility. It's not like he never makes a good pass but it's the being able to take it up another level and say, okay, well, this is another situation. You've got to use your skill, that same skill in this situation, not just when you get the offensive rebound, where you kind of know automatically where the passes are going to be.
I'm going to look for that, Geoff, because I know Mitchell Robinson to be the best on our team when he gets an offensive rebound at just banging it back down.
Yeah, put it back. You're right there.
And that wasn't the issue. That wasn't the case with Hartenstein. He get an offensive rebound. You got to pass it. You got to pass it back out. And it was cool. It gives us extra possessions. But Mitchell Robinson was, I don't know if it was elite. I would have to look at the stats. But in terms of getting an offensive rebound and converting it, 80% of the time. Like dunking it and putting it, right back in. So, yeah, I guess the other 20%, to Jeff's point, he'll pass to the 3-point line for a shot.
Well, I know that's something that they work on in practice, because it's one of the things Fred Katz mentioned in one of his interviews is on KFS a while back, and I was like, really? I didn't realize that, and then I started kind of watch for it, and yeah, he can do a good job about those looks to the corner specifically.
Good. So hopefully they're working on him in the regular offense of pass, because that would help us a lot.
For sure.
Yeah. Ajay, you asked the question. Do you have any
from Mitch?
Of Mitch?
No. I mean, I think somebody you mentioned just me personally, I would want him to get the free throws up. That's literally the only thing I would want Mitch to do better. I mean, he's to your point, he's a good put back. He's a good guy. He put it back. Like, he has a very high field goal percentage. Like, remember one year he was like, doesn't he hold the NBA record? Yeah.
Mhm.
So he could stuff it back.
Yeah.
It's just the free throws, man. I mean, that he's just got to get that. He's got, you say 50. He's got to get above. I mean, it can't just be 1 out of 2.
Yeah.
If that's the case, they still gonna do hack and Mitch every time. Like, you got to be able to hit more than you miss. Even if it's 60, 70, 6 out of 10. You got to be able to at least do 6 out of 10.
Yeah. Because otherwise he's not good. You can't play him down the stretch.
You can't play him down the stretch. You have to be able to stay on the court when it's, that's what I would want him to improve on.
And which is okay, because again, if you have those wing stoppers, I'm not saying you can't use rim protection, but it's not like last year was like, we don't have rim. Not last year, maybe 2 years ago. It's like, yeah, we don't have rim protection, so we need Mitch in here because our perimeter defenders are not great. But then he doesn't hit free throw, so now it's a little easier. Like, we can forego the rim protection. We have wing stoppers now, so we can take Mitch off the floor if we need to.
Yeah. Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Who has the most pressure? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, hit the like button. That's it. Just make sure you hit the like button. Yeah.
Appreciate you, Terry Cox. I'm not paying attention to the chat, so if you guys are saying anything to me in the chat is closed for me. I'm super focused. Ajay's taking care of the chat. But I appreciate everybody that's in there. So if the people in the chat shouting me out, I appreciate you. Who has the most pressure this season? I want to go first here. And if you watch Lunchtime Live, you are with Tony Crowe, you already know what I'm gonna say. And it's probably gonna be a surprise. I think Jalen Brunson has the most pressure this season. I think you want to be the best player on a championship team. Well, now the championship team has expectations. We're not, let's see where we're going. The Knicks is a nice feel-good story, and they're coming out of nowhere and look at what they're doing. No, the Knicks are high expectations from the fan base and externally. You're the best player on the team that's expected to win 60 games, 58 games, make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's going to be because you're going to have to do your thing. Now, everybody else has to play well as also. Don't get me wrong, but Jalen Brunson cannot have a bad season. He cannot fold is such a strong word, but he cannot falter this season. And I will say, if he does, it's okay in the sense that it's growing pains. We talked about this, right? As you move to higher levels of the playoffs and the finals, it gets harder. And some people need time to process it. But to me, the pressure, if the Knicks are going to win a championship or get to the finals, the pressure is on Brunson to be his best self as the lights continue to get brighter, as he now is the face of the franchise and he's the captain and he has a podcast and everybody knows who he is and he's getting this national attention. The pressure is on him to prove that he can continue to be the head of the snake and play at a really high level as the Knicks advance to the playoffs. Because if Brunson falters, I'm not saying guys can't pick up the slack. I'm just saying it's going to be harder for the Knicks.
Queen, you don't think Randall
has the most pressure? I don't think so. I think Brunson has the most pressure to prove. Listen, you go into another level now. To prove that he can be the best player on a championship contending team and get the team to the Eastern Conference. This is what's going on in Philly with Embiid. This is what was going on in Milwaukee with Giannis before he won it. Right? Both fan bases was like, Yeah, he's in the MVP conversation. Yeah, he won the MVP, but is he really a number one? That was the conversation about Giannis before he won. Is Embiid really a number one? Can he really do it? He's only been to the second round. How much of a superstar is he? Those are going to be the same questions for Jalen Brunson. The playtime is over. Whatever was happening now is real cute. But now this is about the real thing right now.
I don't disagree, but and I tell you, I think Randall has a lot of pressure on him as well. For
he doesn't,
for a lot of reasons, because I mean, okay, he's been here, before all those guys, right? It's just Mitch and then Randall and all the rest of the guys, right? There's always been a lot of chatter that Randall's not a number one, and he kind of agrees that he's not number one. He's fine not being the number one, right? But last season, the added pressure last season is that, and don't think for 1 second that that's not in his head. The team played well without him, so he's under a lot of pressure to perform well with this team, and even like. Think about this. Even if he balls out and the team gets eliminated in the first round, it's gonna be Randall's fault. Like people are gonna say,
balls out.
Yes, people are gonna be like, yeah, he disrupted the flow. They're gonna find something to blame him. So he's under a lot of pressure, not just for him to perform, but for the team to perform well while he's on the team.
I agree. I'm not saying Brunson is the only one. To me, he's the most. But I agree. Randall is under pressure too. We can go down. We can go down the line and talk about the different types of pressure that's on different players. Jeff.
Well, I'll just say this: Jalen Brunson doesn't feel pressure. Pressure feels Jalen Brunson. That dude, he's inflammable. He reminds me of Derek Jeter. I mean, he just. Or Kobe, these guys, pressure doesn't bother them. Like, in fact, I think he feeds on it. I think he likes I think the higher the pressure situation, the better he likes it. I mean, and he's a player that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's been to the Western Conference Finals with Dallas. So,
not the best player on the team, though.
No, he's the best player on the team, but he's been there and he's won a championship in college. So he knows what the championship stage is like. Not the NBA championship stage, I'll grant you, but a lot of the thought process and a lot of those characteristics carry over and carry through. So I actually agree with you, Queen, that he has the most amount of pressure, but I think he's also the best equipped to handle that pressure. So I'm far less worried about him than I am about, let's say, Randall, who hasn't always been the finest. In other words, Jalen Brunson's already a diamond. The pressure's already been applied to him, and he still shines. We haven't seen that with Julius yet.
But do you think there's going to be even more pressure on Brunson as the Knicks move to another level?
I mean, maybe, but I don't know. Is there, like, is pressure limitless? I mean, I just think that he's been in all these high.
Let me put it this way. It's not necessary. Of course, there's going to be pressure. But what I mean is pressure to perform. So when people say he handled it, just because you don't have a nervous breakdown, yeah, you're handling it. But what I mean is handling it to the point where, despite the increased expectations, your game is still rising. That's what I mean. Performance-wise, not mentally. He's not going to break. He's not going to, I think mentally he's up for the challenge. My thing is, game-wise, with these higher expectations as the Knicks move further in, performance-wise, being head of the snake. It's uncharted territory, being the best player on a championship contending team. That's all I'm saying. It's uncharted territory.
I agree with that, but also what I think is that in a lot of ways Brunson's game is a little bit pressure proof. because he's such a good shot maker, you know, and that's what he does. And you can throw different defenses at him and it doesn't really matter. You can put size on him, you can double team him, you can blitz him, you can do all of these other things. His bag is so wide. You know, he's got so many different clubs that he can use, and he's a killer from long range. People don't really, you know, give him credit for that, but he's a killer from long range. He gets to the free throw line. And so I think because of that high percentage that he of shots that he makes, difficult shots, I think that helps him in those increased pressure game situations that you're talking about, because he has a lot that he can rely on. He has, you know, he knows that he can go to any one of a dozen moves and he can get his shot off. And we've seen him have to do it when nobody's helping him, you know. But think about how great he was 2 years ago against Miami. You know, last year against the Pacers, not really fair because he broke his wrist in game 7, but before that, he had some incredible games in that series. He had some games that weren't great too, but so maybe that
he wasn't playing well though before the break in the hand though.
Yeah, I thought he was playing well. So
really?
I thought he was playing well. I don't, you know, his shooting percentage was maybe a little bit lower, but again, what pieces does he have around him? In other words, yes, there are increased expectations, but if you're just increasing the expectations and you're not increasing the talent level, then maybe that makes him shrink. But if you're adding back a Julius Randle, that takes pressure off of him. If you're adding in a Mikal Bridges, in theory, that takes some pressure off of him. If you have OG Anunoby playing to his full potential, that should take some pressure off of him. And so I think in some ways when you have a deeper team, you actually might see less pressure and he might get easier looks. I mean, Randall can open up the floor for him in a way few other people can because he brings 2 people to the ball every time. If he gets it right out to him, you're either the wide open 3 or the easy driving lane when they close out. All of those things become more available. Think about how hard he's had to work for his shot in the postseason over the last 2 years.
Yeah, for sure.
And then just think if it's like 10% less. I'm not saying it will be, but just imagine it. And then also, what if, you know, instead of having to play 36, 38 minutes a game, he only has to play 33 or 34. And then you get fresher Jalen Brunson, which makes his shot making that much more deadly because if he's got fresh legs, he's going to be more likely to hit those shots than when he's playing 38, 39, 40, 42 minutes. You know, that takes its toll. If you have to carry the team's entire offensive load in the first half, how much gas do you have left in the tank to carry it down the stretch? You know, that's difficult for anybody. That's not easy for the Joker. That's not easy for Embiid. None of those. If you have to be great on offense for 48 minutes, that's not easy. If you have to be great on offense for 32 minutes, that's a lot easier.
It's going to be 32 though. You could book that.
I know it is, but even let's just say he's playing 38 minutes a game. But let's say in that first quarter, we're giving Randall a steady diet. And we're letting him cook, and all the balls going into Julius. Well, that's time that he's not the primary offensive option. That keeps him fresher. And then when it comes to the end game, he's even more killer than he otherwise would be. And so I think that yes, there will be more in-game pressure, but I think that the quality of his team around him will allow him to mitigate that pressure. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. All right. We shall see.
I hope.
Listen, I'm putting my money on Brunson, but It's different. The Knicks are in different territory, and Brunson is now in the Giannis Embiid territory. Yeah.
Expectations are a thing. It is a different world when everybody expects you to win versus not. This is a different game. That is for sure.
The Giannis territory before he won a championship. I mean,
Right.
any more before we
A couple of quick comments. Shout out to Parish Duggar. Brunson feels zero pressure.
Mhm.
On another one, he says he lives for it. And shout out to Nick will be 2025-26 champs. I'm looking for Mikal to take the next step. He should be option 2B. I guess Brunson will be 2. It'll be, Randall, Julia. It'd be Brunson, Randall, Mikal Bridges. Yeah, probably. Depending on the night, Mikal Bridges might be 2A and Randall 2B. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's that. There's just 2.
All right. Any last words? We'll leave the other
No, you want to talk about the power forwards.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about that real quick. I think it was Hoops Hype named the top 30. I want to say, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, top 30 power forwards in the NBA, and Julius Randle was number 7. And I'll just read who was before him. Number 1 was Zion Williamson, the best power forward in the NBA, as per hoopshype.com. Number 2, Paolo Banchero from the Orlando Magic. Number 3, Pascal Siakam, Indiana Pacers. Do I got that right? 1, 2. Yeah. Number 4, Karl Anthony Towns, Minnesota Timberwolves. Number 5, Lauri Markkanen. Oh, I didn't get number 6. Lauri Markkanen from the Utah Jazz. Oh boy, let me pull up my list. I forgot one. Oh, let me see. I'm sorry. Number 1 was Giannis. Number 2 was Zion. Number 3 was Banchero. Number 4 was Karl Anthony Towns. Number 4 was Siakam. Karl Anthony Towns was 5, and Lauri Markkanen was 6. Then Julius Randle. How could you forget about Giannis?
That was my first question. Where's Giannis?
Giannis was number 1.
You took my argument. That was my whole argument. No Giannis, this person don't know anything about basketball. that was my entire argument. That'd have been like, all right, shut this down, because there's no Giannis. They don't know what they're talking
about. Thoughts?
Go ahead, AJ.
No,
you brought it
up. As usual, it's they always
top 24 power forwards, not 30. Top 20.
As usual, they always throw a couple of little jabs in there. Try to, because he's a Knick. I think there's a couple of players on there. I don't know if they base this on potential or on work already put in place. Okay. Paolo Banchero, I think will probably eventually be a better power forward than Julius Randle. At this point, I don't think he is.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Zion's always hurt, so you really can't tell what he is. But he is a great power forward. But he's always hurt. Siakam, I would put. I don't know if I would probably put him on the same level as Julius Randle and Karl Anthony Towns. Lauri Markkanen, please. And I think those guys are better. So my thing would be Giannis, Zion, Siakam, Randle, and Karl Anthony Towns on the same level, Paolo Banchero, and Lauri Markkanen in that list that you showed right there.
Yeah. it's hard for me. I always give a player who's the best player on the team. Like I'm talking about Randall and Siakam. I don't know if Siakam was ever the best player on his team. I guess the season he got traded, I guess he was. It was him, OG, um,
Scotty Barnes.
Scotty Barnes, and he was okay during that season. I don't know. I like Randall um over Siakam. But go ahead, Jeff.
I don't know. I have like from a statistical point of view, how many of those guys average 24, 10, and 5? Like Karl Anthony Towns brings a little bit different skill set to the table. He's a better 3-point shooter for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I would rather have him as a rebounder than Julius. I don't know what the numbers look like though. I'd have to take a closer look at that. I mean, I actually really like Lauri Markkanen and Paolo Banchero both, but what has their resume been? What have they done that's so? I mean, Banchero's been a little bit more because I thought the Magic were pretty impressive last year, but they didn't advance past the first round of the playoffs against a Cavaliers team that we beat pretty easily the year before. So, and he's young. I mean, all of this stuff is subjective, though. It's splitting hairs, and I don't care if you want to call Julius Randle the 7th best power forward in the NBA. Have at it, but I guarantee you this: when he's healthy, teams are prepping for him pretty hard, and he's gonna be a major factor in what they're doing defensively when he's out on the floor. And he's not guardable one-on-one, and most people on that list aren't guardable one-on-one. By the way, I mean Markkanen has improved tremendously. I actually think he's the best part of the Donovan Mitchell trade for them. So that was
for sure.
That was a coup, and that doesn't even include the draft picks, which we don't know what they're going to become. But Markkanen, I think, but again, he's kind of like Jules. He's not a really good defensive player. I don't know. I'm not overly impressed with Pascal Siakam. I mean, I think he's a good player, but look, Randall's been All NBA twice in 3 years. That to me says that the people who follow it closest think that he's better than those people, because otherwise they would be ahead of him. And it's tough, I guess, with Paolo because he's so young. But again, if he's, what has he done in his career that shows he's definitively a better player than Julius Randle to this point? Not projection of what he could be. And I think that's the thing with Zion too. When Zion plays, okay, he puts up great numbers, but I think part of the, he's never played more than 50 games in a season, has he? I mean, I think you got to keep that in mind, and I guess Randall had he missed half the season last year, but for the most part, he's been pretty durable. So,
I think
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
I don't put a lot of stock in those. I tend to ignore articles like that anyway. So,
I mean, what I'll say about Zion, I think Zion has to improve his skill set. I mean, he's a power, he's a power guy without a 3-point shot, without a mid-range shot. He's a powerful guy. Don't get me wrong. He can get to the rim at will, but and he handles the ball. I'm not going to take anything, away from that, but I think he needs to expand his skill set a little bit. I think his skill set is a little limited in my opinion, offensively anyway.
I wouldn't argue that. I think he's not as good a rebounder as Randall, is he? I would be shocked if Zion averaged double-digit rebounds for his career. Does he? Does anybody know? I have
Um,
no idea.
I don't know what his rebounds are for the either for the 80 games he's played in his career. I don't know. I'm being funny. Yeah. All right. Any last words?
Real quick, let's go over some of these comments. Like
Oh.
the chat's got their own opinion. I want to share with you real quick.
Okay.
Good point. Knicks 100 a GM. What, Sabonis not up there?
He not in the top. So I'll tell you where Sabonis is.
I think he should be up there in the top 7. I don't know who I would bump off.
Yeah, Jaren Jackson was 8. Evan Mobley was 9. Jeez, they must be talking about projections.
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon was 10. Kyle Kuzma was 11. Miles Bridges was 12. I like Miles Bridges. Jeremy Grant was they must have him at center then. Keegan Murray at 14. They must have him at
Sabonis at 5.
Okay, so same thing with AD because that's
AD,
really good.
They have because he would have definitely been in there in the list by now.
Okay. What else? Sabonis not up there. Randall better than
20.
Huh?
Obi Toppin was 20 ahead of Cameron Johnson of Brooklyn at 21.
Oh. Randall is better than Pascal Siakam. I don't, it could go either way. No way Zion is better than Sabonis. So, like we said, probably at center.
I think they had Sabonis must be at center. He's not on the list. It's 30 people, 30 players in the list. And Sabonis is not here.
Parrish Thugger, Randall is ahead of Marketing and Siakam. And finally, Greek Freak, only one better than Randall. Zion health is way too shaky. There you go. There you have it. Shout out to the chat, man, Queen. They're all like hyperactive over there, man. The only thing they're not doing, they're not hitting that like button. But otherwise, man, shout out to the chat.
Okay, this is the centers. Because somebody asked really, really quick. The Joker was number 1. Sabonis was 2. Rudy Gobert was 3. Embiid was 4. Wow.
Gobert Gobert better than
Embiid. That's terrible.
All right.
Wembanyama.
I'm not sure I'd take Sabonis over Embiid.
Wembanyama was 5. Bam is 6.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Chet 7. Jared Allen 8. Sagoon 9. I love Sagoon. I really like this kid.
He's got a good game. Yeah.
Miles Turner 10. Porzingis 11.
Is Sagoon
Nas
center?
Reed 12.
Is he a center or power forward? I thought he was a power forward.
He
Sagoon.
plays center for who?
Sagoon.
No, he's a 5. Vucevic was 13. Valanciunas 14. Nurkic 15. Portis 16. Lopez 17. Nick Claxton 18. Zubac 19. Isaiah Hartenstein 20. And that's the end of the list.
Old Man River made it to the list, huh? Lopez.
Yeah. Yeah, he made it to the list. That they have Nick Claxton. Maybe I'm just too high on Hartenstein. That's probably what it is.
We'll find out this year.
Right.
I don't think we'll see a lot, whether it was, his fit with the Knicks or if he's just, that good. I mean, probably the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any last anything else, Ajay? Any other comments? Anything else?
No.
Right.
There's a few more, but we gotta go.
All right. Any last words before we get out of here?
Thanks for having us, Queen. Great show. Salute to the chat. Ajay, he's got his schedule, his blanket, his security blanket is back. So now we know we can just ask him when we have our schedule questions.
Yep.
And, And hey, next time we meet, it'll be September, y'all. Season will be less than training camp will be less than a month away. That's crazy.
It is. It is. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I appreciate you rocking with us. Send some prayers or some positive thoughts for my 14-year-old dog who has to have surgery tomorrow. Bladder stone removed. Hopefully he gets through the he should get through the surgery, but you never know. So please send your prayers or positive thoughts or whatever you do his way tomorrow. All right. We are out of here. Oh, Ajay, we could talk about it quickly afterward.
Okay.
Until next time, family.
Peace.
You tune in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Right now. Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul Sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, Brooklyn. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. The like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the MBK.